5, 4, 3. Wait, I don't want to leave. I mean, I like it here. Hello, my name is Trydar. Welcome back to the Subnautica tutorial series. Today is part 6, where we do the rocket and the launch platform. And with this, it should actually wrap up all the pieces that you're probably going to want to build. Let's get started. So for the purposes of the tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to build half of this today because this is yet another structure that is symmetrical around a center line. So if you draw a center line around here, if you place a block over here, you place the same block on the mirrored side over there, okay? So that is how this is going to be laid out, and it's going to be going up in increments of 2 blocks each time, meaning that if I build 2 blocks here, the next phase is going to be 2 blocks higher than that one. And we are going to be doing the rocket platform and the Neptune rocket itself. Now, as you can see, the rocket itself is hollow. If you want to put something in there, you can, of course, do that. But we will start down here at the bottom of the rocket platform. It has these little things down here that I think are sort of like stabilizers. But before we get to that, you're going to want to measure down in this because you're going to need to build part of this in the water. And the water level for this platform here is, I believe it's about right here is where I've set it to be at. You could also have it there if you wanted to, but it does need to be around the orange line here. And that is going to be how many blocks down? From up here to the water level is going to be 1, 2, 3, 14 blocks. And that gets us down to here. So you're going to need to start building it 14 blocks below the surface, or 15 if you want your water level to be here, for everything to come out. So now we will start around here, and you're going to need to build a simple structure here. This is just some white concrete and some light blue glass. It's laid out, I believe they're 5 blocks wide here. And to get the measurements, so you can get this correctly, let's see, from this point here to this point over here is going to be 1, 2, 3, 25 blocks is going to be the distance from there to there. So you're going to want to make sure that you measure that out twice to make sure you've got the correct number of blocks. So with that foundational phase correct at the correct depth and the correct length away, we're going to start building the rest of the platform. Now these things down here, this one is the same as this one. They're both the exact same. So we're going up 2 blocks from what we did before. And we just edge the white concrete out a little and put another edge of yellow concrete on top of it here, and of course build it to the pattern that you see on the screen here. Okay, it's a very simple shape, so we'll quickly move on to the next one. For the next part from here, you just want to go up directly over the last phase and build a ring of white concrete, and then come out and add a little bit of a lip on that of cyan terracotta, like so. Now, I left this a little bit hollow. I imagine it'll be filled with water or whatever, but if you want to, you can fill it with cobble or just leave it empty to save materials. So for the next phase, we start connecting these things down here, which means we need to build a platform. And it's got lights on the edges here. Like you see here, just some sea lanterns and some glass. It's got it on all 4 sides. It's the same on all 4 sides. And the corners here are just ever so slightly edged in like that. Just take a nibble out of the corners there. But let's get the complete width of this. So we will measure from this corner down to the same corner down there. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 55 blocks from end to end. So to measure it out, you're going to want to go from here to the same mirrored corner on the other edge over around here, which is going to be also another 55 blocks. It's a square. So measure that out and fill it in with cyan terracotta. To save materials, you can probably leave the part here hollow. And once you've done that, we will go to the next phase over here, which is mostly just adding more cyan terracotta like you see here. You just want to step it out like this, like so, like that. And continue doing the corners. And pretty much do this all the way around. And with that very simple part done, we will now move on to a more complicated phase, which we'll start under here. We add some more lighting. It's the same pattern as was done down here. You just do it once more on this section as you add another little lip of cyan terracotta all around the edges. But past that, we want to start coming out and adding the larger platform up here. And I think I actually mirrored this when I was doing it, so you don't need to draw these interior yellow lines right here. You can forget about that, but you do need to do this section here. And from this, you need to come out how many blocks? It's going to be from here to here. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 14 blocks. Going to be the distance from there. And we should count out over to here. From the center line to this section over here is going to be 1, 2, 3, 13 blocks. And then you just want to go back in 2 block increments until you hit the side over there like that, and just build it according to the pattern that you see here. And once that is done, I should also measure the lower side over here. This is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks farther out there. It's the same on all of these sides here. Another 4 blocks. You'll want to do that all the way around and then just stick this little ledge onto it. And you're going to want to do the exact same ledge on both sides. Okay, with that done, we now want to, I think we're just extending these sections up and out a little. Yes, it looks like we're just taking some cyan terracotta and we're going straight up on top of that, except around here we're adding some details for the yellow railing and also for the orange sort of little bumper area that's going to be around the outside. So you'll want to add a little ledge of white concrete and just go all the way around, just keeping the same pattern but coming out 1 additional block. And there's also some side ladders over around here. And you can use the lights that you already built. Just extend this out here as a guide to help you get the spacing right for the ladders on the sides here. And it's the same on the other side as you did on the front side, the exact same. So with that done, we'll come around to the front here again. I think we're just extending everything straight up. We want to add some little lights here by the ladders. And I think around here, depending on where you put your water, you can probably start putting in a ladder here or up at this level on the next phase so you can crawl up on top of it from the water. And we just want to come out and add this little orange bumper section. That's what I call it. It looks like it's a sort of a bumper section for things that are floating on the water. They seem to have that in Subnautica. So now to get this, you pretty much just want to draw a band according to the pattern that you see. Make it out of orange concrete and cyan terracotta. And go around the edges here. And leave some gaps occasionally. We want to leave a 3-block gap here. And then just keep extending it. Wrap it around the edges. And when you get to the ladders over here, just leave a little 2-block gap here on either side of the ladder. And keep going with it around here. Another ladder section is exactly the same as that one over there. And the back around here is, again, exactly the same as was done at the front. And I will remark again that while I have filled all of this in with white concrete, I do not expect you to do that. You can just leave this section hollow. That's several layers thick, I think. Now, by the way, is when I build these, I don't spare any expense. But I think this next section, you're probably going to want to start filling in because we're going to start building the rocket platform itself. A little footprint where it sits down in there, but let's go right here to the side. And we're finishing the edges along here. The bumper made out of orange concrete is just 3 blocks thick, or 3 blocks tall, rather. And it goes around here, and then you end that, and you should have continued up your wall of white concrete around here. As you can see, it's very simple to do. We're just extending up the previous section that we did. Front and the back are the same. However, what's new on this one is this section around here. This is going to be rather difficult. Now, let's see. To get this, it's obviously centered on the ladder over here on our center line. So, if you want, this should be the central point here of the rocket platform. So you can measure that out. And to get the other section down here, I believe it's also centered on this mark of cyan terracotta right here, by the way, which you should already have if you've been constructing it. And I think the best thing I can do around here is let you get a good long look at the pattern here and just pause the video and replicate it as you see. And to help you out with this, I suppose I should make some measurements from the ladder to the side over here. So from this point, or this point here to where the sea lanterns start down here is going to be 28 blocks is going to be that length. And it should be also 28 blocks on that length over there. And once you get that, we will move on to the next part over here, where I believe we're building now the surface section of the platform. So all the details around here, this is where you're going to be standing and walking around. So it's got a lot of patterns sort of incised into it. But what you want to do is, I think at this level, you will definitely want to come across and make all of this solid, and all of this below here you can leave hollow. But this section up here does need to be solid. So on the sides here, you're sort of mirroring what we did down here, except you're doing it higher up. You end what we're doing with the white concrete and just sort of extend up cyan terracotta, except just set it 1 block farther back from the previous phase. And go around the edges here. Extend up your ladders. And the back here is again all the same as the front, except for the details that we've got going on here. And I should do some measuring for you. I believe this is only 3 blocks wide of white concrete here. And then after that, you want to take some yellow concrete and make pretty much a square, except for these little indentations on the side here, all the way around. And then build the front according to the pattern that you see here. And if you look at it closely, you can use what you've done over here and the platform over here to give you a guide about how to do this. So I'll give you a good long look at all this around here. I think on the top of the sea lanterns, you're going to want to put some cyan terracotta. And on top of the glass, you're going to want to put also some cyan terracotta, but then immediately a ring of white concrete. And you can just put it directly on top of that. And outside of that, put another ring of yellow concrete, like you see done here. I'll give you a good long look at this over here. Now, this side is the back side over here, which is where the tower is going to be to climb up into the rocket. So you want to have the yellow concrete done like this here. And on the sides here, you just want to have these little sort of yellow arrows pointing in here. And they are 2 blocks from this section here, and that is itself 2 blocks out from that right there. And I believe that will be a major phase complete. That's the most of the platform itself. The next section should require much less materials. So for the details, you're going to want to go around and finish off the ladder platforms with just a detail of yellow concrete there. And then we're going to start building up the construction platform. And for that, I've used just a couple of slabs of quartz here, because we don't have concrete slabs. And just alternate that with some cyan terracotta like you see, and some yellow concrete. Some details of lights down here. These side platforms for the construction platforms, I've put a couple of beacons in these, but you can just fill these with sea lanterns if you don't want to waste beacons on this. And also down here, there is some hidden lighting background here. And also back around here. And you can use the yellow outline you made with the yellow concrete as a guide to help you fill all that in. And from here, we've got the ladders on the sides. Just put 1 block of yellow concrete on top of each of those, and that will finish those off. Then we've got the foundation for the launch tower back here. You can see you use the guide for the yellow concrete and just add some cyan terracotta on top of that. And begin the stairs back here according to the same pattern that we did on the front around there. Okay, now let's talk about the foundations for the clamps. The clamps that we can't see them yet, that are going to be holding the rocket in place so it doesn't fall over. So you just put those on the side sections here. And to get the 45-degree center line from this, you just, you can measure out from down here and build them out like that, according to the pattern that you see here. Okay, once that is done, we can now start building the lower rocket nozzles for the Neptune rocket itself, which is going to be what these are right here. Now, I'm showing you how to build the rocket in conjunction with the platform from this step forward. If for some reason you don't want to build the rocket, you can just leave out everything that's going to be in the middle here and also these side things. But I assume you're going to want to build the rocket on the platform, so that is what I'm showing to you today. So, we're going to be building 4 of these, and you just want to build them according to the pattern that you see here. It's just a simple ring of white concrete and yellow concrete with a 3-block hole here for the rocket exhaust gases to come out of. And you want to build them directly over these sections here. I think if you take center lines off of these, you can build them just 2 blocks in from there. And it's going to be the same on the sides around here. So take a good long while and make sure you've got the measurements for all of this correct. It's very critical that you do so at this phase, so I'll give you a good long look at this. Remember, if I'm going too fast, you can just pause the video and take a look at what you need to see. Conversely, you can also download this in the description below and take a look at it firsthand if the tutorial explanation is not quite good enough. So, let's go over here and build the construction platform. We have our controls here and our display for the construction area. And this is the little construction console that I made. It's just a little crafting table and some meaningless comparators that don't do anything. So put those together with some glass panes and some white concrete and put a ring of yellow concrete on top of this to represent the railing. And that should be that complete, I think, actually. And we'll move around back here and take a look at the platform for the launch tower. You're just adding in some yellow concrete on top of here for a railing. And we're also building the foundation for the gantry tower over here itself. It's just made out of cyan terracotta. I think it's actually like a 5x5 square of it. And from here, we're going to be extending up this section and the rocket. From this point onwards, the rest of the platform will be complete. So, let's start over here with the support areas. The support arms over here are going to, I think all you do in this phase is just extend them up with some white concrete and some cyan terracotta, like so. Very easy to do. And you're also just extending up the nozzles with some white concrete. You're putting a bit of glass on this section here in the middle. And there are also smaller rocket engine nozzles on the middle here that you're going to need to construct. It's just little rings of white concrete like you see. And you can use the rocket nozzles on this side over here as a guide to help you with the fitment. So once you've got that positioned, this is also on the center line here. This is the very center of the rocket. And that's just 4 blocks out from the middle of the nozzles over here, as you see done here. All right. With that complete, we are now ready. I think from this point on, I will start with the gantry tower. And this is going to be fairly easy for several phases until we start getting to the top, by the way. So you're just extending this up with cyan terracotta, sea lanterns, and glass. Light blue stained glass is my glass of choice for this, by the way. And we want to extend up the support arms over here, which at this point they're just going straight up with more cyan terracotta, but a little bit of white concrete on the edges around here at the back. But the rocket itself now starts getting rather complicated. Let's take a look at it. Remember, this section is 2 blocks up from the previous section, so I'm going to confine looking to that. So it looks like under here we have a little detail of some sea lanterns. And on the sides around here, we have some obsidian and cyan terracotta. Of course, if you don't want to use obsidian, you can use black concrete or wool, whatever you choose to use. And we have also some yellow concrete around here, connecting to the central rocket platform. And over the top here, we also have some sea lanterns and some stained glass inside the engine nozzles underneath here. And it looks like all the larger engines are ringed with obsidian. The smaller ones are ringed with cyan terracotta, but one block higher up. And of course, it looks like the entire thing is ringed with cyan terracotta. Now, about this rocket. I think mostly it's not quite symmetrical. I mean, it is symmetrical around an axis around this way or around this way, but it doesn't really have four-way symmetry on some things, but as far as the general shape, it does. So be watchful for that as I go around the rocket. It's going to be a little while before that comes into play, though. So this area down here, you can pretty much leave hollow. I did, but if you wanted to be more exact, you could fill it with like maybe some fuel tanks or something, I think. So this next section down here, let's start at the rocket gantry tower. Looks like we're adding a little ring of yellow concrete around here. We're just taking this straight up. And for the support arms, we're now adding in some details of some lighting back here. It looks like they're still going straight up on all sides, except we're adding in some white concrete, and we're stepping in the white concrete over the cyan terracotta to make a little pattern like you see done here. Okay, so this next section is going to be this 2-block section here. Let's start over here at the gantry. Looks like we're adding some yellow concrete and cyan terracotta, a little obsidian, all the way around. But we're stepping it out just a little bit more than the previous part. And just slowly build it up like you see done here. With the foundation of the rocket nozzles and everything complete from the last phase, it should be starting to get easier to add this section in. So let's go over here to the next part. The gantry tower is again going straight up with it pretty much looks like white concrete over here mostly. And the arms here are also still going straight up on the sides here. Except it looks like we're curving in just a little bit at the top here. We're missing a one block here. Just knock that out. And we'll start at the back here. Going to be talking about these blocks here. So we're going to be building up some cyan terracotta and some obsidian. It looks like we do that straight up all the way around on the previous sections of cyan terracotta. And we're going all around here. And we'll move on to the next phase. Extending up the gantry tower again. And the support arms on the sides here. We're adding in some more details of cyan terracotta at this phase. Now we're also adding in these little things here. So just build it like you see. And the rocket is going to be these blocks here. So we will move around here. It looks like it's just going straight up at this section. Looks like it's mostly a band of cyan terracotta with some details of obsidian here and there. Okay, we will move on again. The gantry tower again, going straight up. And the support arms here are now getting more complicated. So we're taking a look at this part here. So I'll give you a good look at the details that we've got around here. It's also cutting in on the back, like so. And around the front, like so. And once you've built those, we can now build the rocket back here. Taking a look at this section here. And we're putting different materials straight on top of the others. Now, in my reference model, I included some lava details in the side here to represent sort of the engine fuel or whatever. But you don't have to do that. You can leave that out if you prefer not to. And we're going around the sides here, adding in the color materials as you see done here. And a view from the top. All right, moving on again, we have quite a lot of phases to do in 2 block increments because the rocket is very tall. So again, the gantry is just going straight up. And the side support arms here are getting more complicated. Give you a slow panning view around this. I know some of these blocks look like they're randomly placed, but they're not. And view of the top there. And the rocket around here. These blocks now. Should be pretty simple. We're going straight up, adding in some different details around the sides here. I think most of the rocket ends up going up in vertical steps, except for some sections. But all the lower ones are pretty much vertical. So we'll move on again. The gantry again going straight up. The arms here getting ever more complicated. I believe now we actually get them where they attach to the rocket, which is in the 2 block section we're taking a look at here. So this is on the 45-degree center line around here. And you want to build it like you see done here. I'll move around the sides here. I know it looks like it's a little bit messy, but it's still fairly easy to do. Just take it 1 block at a time. And we'll start over here with the rocket itself. I think we're just extending up the walls again, except we're adding some different sorts of details. And build it as you see done here. All right, moving again. This thing, as always, going straight up here. The arms over here will start in the middle here. It looks like on the top we're just mirroring the yellow concrete that we did up here, where it connects to the rocket. This is one of the support areas that holds the rocket upright. And here is the section around here, where we have our arm curving inwards. And back around here, the walls of the rocket are still going vertically up, just with the different patterns of blocks that you see added here. All right, let us move on again to the next phase. You know the drill with this over here. I think in several more phases, we'll start getting, well, looks like it's going to be quite a few more phases. Then we'll be adding details to that. Start over here with the support arms. They're getting a little simpler on this part here. We're just extending up some white concrete, it looks like. And the walls of the rocket are going straight up again to form the base section down here. And build them according to the pattern and details that you see. You know the drill on that. So we will move again over here. This thing looks the same still. But the arm is curving inwards again, like you see done here. And the sides of the rocket are still going straight up. It looks like this section is mostly extending up again, the previous section. So we will move on here. Now at this phase, we're adding in some more details to the gantry here. Just a little bit of cyan terracotta on that section there. And we're getting to the point where we're almost done with these arms on the side here. So we're adding in mostly white concrete, but a little detail of yellow concrete done here. And it should once again attach to the rocket in the center here. Give you a good look underneath here. And the sides of the rocket along here. Like we're also adding in a little cyan terracotta as well on either side of the arms here. I think those are supposed to represent clamps. All right, the gantry tower here getting a little bit more detailed. The side arms here, almost done. Just attach it with white concrete and yellow concrete. And extend up the walls with, I think this entire section is mostly, except for a little obsidian here and there, all white concrete. And going up again, we have this starting to get a little bit more complicated. And I believe the arms are almost finished. We're adding in 2 more cyan terracotta clamps here and some yellow concrete. And extend up these sides here. Looks like we have a little detail of cyan terracotta here on the sides, but it's mostly all white concrete. And we finally have some detail in our gantry tower over here. We're cutting it in just a little bit here. And build it like you see. I think on the last phase we have... Let's go over here and check. Yes. We have finished building the arms in the last section here. So we will be done with those. And from this point onwards, we will be focusing only on the gantry tower itself and the body of the rocket. So in this 2-block section here, I'll go around and give you a look at the pattern. It's still just going straight up, but it's going to start curving in fairly soon. It's all fairly basic to do there. The gantry tower gets simple again. We're just going in with a 3x5 thing of white concrete over here. And adding in the side details of the rocket here. Looks like we are now stepping in this section here with just a little bit. So build it according to the pattern that you see with the material design that is laid out before you. And we will move on again. I think for the next several steps, the rocket platform over here just goes pretty much straight up. So I will skip it until something important comes along. And the rocket itself, we now start curving it in here and here on both sides all the way around, like you see done here. And we will move on again to this section here where we are cutting it in just a little bit over here, and we're starting to round it off around here. So I'll give you a good look at this. And just replicate that also over here, again here, and again here, and also all the way around the rest of the rocket itself. So again, we will go over to the rocket. We are getting a bit more detail. We're adding in some lights over here in this section with a little glass on top of them. We're cutting it in 2 blocks from the previous section. So take a good long look at this here, because you're going to want to do this same thing again over here, and here, and over here as well. So all those sections are very symmetrical and like each other. We're finally getting some more detail back over here. We're just stepping out with some white concrete over here. And in this section here, we're going back up a little. And we're also adding in these side details here along the sloping section around here. And build these side details like you see. And make sure you cut in a block here on both sides like so. Move on over here. There we go. We're moving on to this part here. We're extending out this white concrete here. And the rocket gets a little simple in this section. We're just extending up the walls around here. I think we're cutting in a block around here, as well as here. Going straight up on the sides here. And again, we're coming out here to this section. We're having a little detail in the middle here for the gantry tower. And this part here looks like we're now going just straight up with these materials that you see here. This looks like it's an octagonal section. It's not quite octagonal, but it's close. We will go along here. We're extending the gantry support arm out like so. And we're building the rocket up like you see here, except this section here, this comes out in these blocks here. And the same on both sides. And with that done, we now get to the point where we can start connecting our gantry tower to the rocket. And you want to build the support arm like you see down here. And have it connect to the rocket like you see here. With these sections and details. And these side details here with these lights here. And do the same on both sides. And once that is done, we will have to make a turn because I was running out of room on the map. This is a very complicated build. I think it's the most complicated thing I've tried to do a tutorial on. So I'm trying my best to explain everything clearly. So we have our gantry tower up here. And we want to start extending it out on the sides here. And connecting to the rocket in the middle around here. And then extending the rocket up, like you see here. I don't think there's any complicated shapes on this section. You're just extending it straight up. Adding in the lights on the side with the glass in front of it. And from here, we move on. We're extending out the ledge for the gantry tower and adding in some details here. And we're extending the rocket up. I think we're just cutting in one block there. Around here also. Extending up the sides. And over here again, we have the gantry tower ledge coming out just a little bit here. And around the sides here. Fairly easy to do. And extending up the rocket here. You can use this to check where you're going if you've got your cutouts done correctly. Build it on the same, on this side as well. And around here, the gantry tower is getting somewhat more complicated. We've got a little glass here. Some details of cyan terracotta around here. And some lights around here. And these things off to the side here that are going to connect to things farther up. And so we have our rocket around here. We have some additional cutouts around this section here. It's going to start rounding off on the top around here fairly soon. And build it according to the pattern that you see. Give you a view from the inside here. And building up the sides of the gantry tower around here. I believe this yellow ledge here indicates the safety railing. So we're getting to the point where we're almost finished building that. And we have these side construction pods here that are hanging off the sides here. And they're connected with a little cyan terracotta and capped off with some quartz slabs there. And here is the side here. And the top done with the details like you see done here. I'll give you a good long look at this. And this is going to be the section where you climb up and you would walk over this way to board the rocket. So let's go over here. We have just a little bit more detail to add on top of that. Here with the cyan terracotta on the sides. This is actually going to be the point where we finish the gantry tower, except for some antennas. And I've added some antennas, I think, over here, which I will show to you on the very last phase, so be on the lookout for that. And we'll take a look at the rocket around here. It's fairly simple. The last couple of phases, we're just extending up the white concrete, except on the sides here, where we start adding in this little outrigger detail of sorts. And build it like you see done here. And we will move on around here fairly quickly. And we have over here, this is going to be the door to your rocket. You can actually put a door in there if you want to. And we're just extending up the white concrete and extending up these little side projections here. And on those, we're just adding in some lights at the top here. And extending up another 2 blocks of white concrete all the way around. As I said, the gantry tower is now complete, so from this point onwards, I will focus only on the rocket. And we're going to be finishing this fairly quickly. So we have our next 2 block section up here. It's fairly simple. You're just making out some indentations around here and some details of cyan terracotta. Do that all the way around. But the next section gets a little bit more complicated because we're making all these complicated cutouts along here. So I'll give you a long, slow panning look at this. and build it out according to the pattern that you see. And with that done, we will move on up. I think we're getting to the point where we're almost ready to get up to the cockpit. So let's start back here. I think in this point, we're just extending up walls with terracotta and concrete. And the next section looks like it's actually more of the same, with just yellow and white concrete done. And the next phase again is more of the same. It looks like it's all white concrete except for these little lights I've added on the side here. Like so. And the next phase over here, we're adding in some more lights, but we're making some complicated cutouts around here from the previous phase. So just build it like you see. And after that, we will move up again, and I think we're making a few more setbacks along here and here. And with that done, we're almost to the top. We're making some more setbacks along here, as well as around here and here, and adding in some lights at the top along here. And it's also, I think this is actually at the last phase, where we should add in the floor for the cockpit is going to be at this level here. And you can build this out according to the pattern that you see. I haven't really put too much detail into the cockpit because the rocket doesn't go anywhere, so it didn't seem worthwhile. And again, we will start around back here. We're now adding in some of the windows of the cockpit up here with the light blue stained glass. And we're just rounding off the top with the blocks, like you see done here. And with that done, I think we are almost done. This phase here, we're going to get to where we're going to cap off the cockpit. We're just adding in some details with mostly concrete and glass. Hopefully it's clear enough to see the pattern that I've used here. I'll just mark that out a little so you can see it a little bit clearer. And give you a view from the inside here, so you can see how that is done there. All right. Then we will move here to, at long last, the final phase of the rocket. Up here, we're just adding in some glass, mostly. That should top that off, and we'll give you a view inside here. And these little pieces of cyan terracotta here are actually the bases over here of these antennas that I've added. And I'm a little too far up to add that one. There should be a block of yellow concrete on top of that, like there is over here. Except on top of that, you just want to go up 3 blocks and then add in the top detail like you see. Except I believe the antenna over on this side is 2 blocks taller than that one. And the antenna that is offset over here on this section is, I think it sits over here. You would build like so. Except with a sea lantern there where the obsidian is. And the last thing I will say over here is on one side, this tower is symmetrical except when you get to the top here. And you just want to add on one side only these little antennas. And you can pick whichever side you want to put it on. I think I put them on the right side on my reference model. And with that, the Subnautica tutorial series is finally complete. I have now shown you how to build pretty much everything that I've designed for Subnautica, except like for the Atlas submarine. But remember, if the tutorial itself is not quite good enough and you need to see this in person to get the details right, you can download it from the link in the description. And all 3 parts that contain all the vehicles and everything, all the buildings, are available on Planet Minecraft as well. So, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.